can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. This is the show where we're going to look at some what solds later on in the video. But first, we're going to talk a little bit, discuss some reselling stuff, things that are going on, either with me or with, in the reselling world in general. It feels like it's been a long week. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know down in the comments. Has it felt like a long week? I'm like, man, it's Thursday, the day of me actually recording this, and today was an odd day at the flea market. All the usuals weren't there, which is very bizarre. However, I'm just thinking about. I'm thinking, is Saturday the 1st, or how many days in the week? Because there is a flea market that is the first Saturday of the month. They might be prepping for that. I don't know. No, it actually won't be till. Anyway. Yeah, actually won't be till next week, so that's not the case. Well, maybe it's the holiday too, because there is a Labor Day holidays coming up, so maybe the holiday. I don't know. Bit of an odd day today. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Shipping. USPS. So that's primarily who I ship through. Occasionally there'll be the FedEx. Once in a while, if I sell a shoe that needs to go to authentication, they give you it's free shipping. It's through FedEx, so not to go down to the FedEx office. That's the only variation, or the only time it changes. But I had a package go missing this week, or actually it was last week it went missing, because last week it was supposed to be delivered. August 20th, got to New York, and we're not talking a small box. It's 16 inches by, I think I'm getting it right. It's like 16, no, about 16, probably a little bit more. Probably about 16, 16 inches, and by about 14 inches, and it's about 8 inches high, so it's a fairly substantial size box in the mail. Lost, gone. It says the last tracking on it says so it says out for delivery on the 20th. Then on the 21st it goes to it never said delivered on the 21st or attempted delivery, anything like that. Because it will say attempted delivery. It just says ready for delivery on the 21st, and it's been stuck on that ever since. So it's completely lost. The person I was sending it to, they were only going to be at that location until the 27th. They were actually from Italy. So, and I looked at their profile, and it was pretty. They were from Italy. So, but apparently they were visiting. They were in New York for a few weeks, and they had ordered it with enough time. So, which the time wasn't an issue. It was on the 14th of August when they ordered it, mailed out on the 15th. And so I had plenty of time to get there by the 27th. I've had items reach Florida in 3 days. And delivered, mind you. Not just get there. Delivered in 3 business days. Which is pretty wild, in my opinion. So New York, no big deal. I send stuff from New York all the time. And so this one, and smaller items too. Smaller, tiny, like little bubble wrap packages. I send them all the time. Do I have any laying around here? Have anything laying around here? No, I got a lot of junk around here. Well, a lot of stuff needs to get listed, or stuff needs to just get put away as well too. But yeah, I don't have any tiny ones laying around. But I had tiny packages, perfectly fine, no issues at all. I mean, it's pretty rare. Knock on wood, always knock on wood around here. If something gets lost, so it happens. It can happen. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again. But the thing is, it's sold for $100, so it's $100 that I have to refund the person. That's not actually what we're losing. We're losing out. I spent $5 on the item. It was a vintage My Child, brand new in the box, mind you. That's the part that hurts the most. Brand new in the box, vintage 90s toy, lost. Who knows what happened to it? And my only guess is maybe it got stolen off the truck. I don't know. But it's a pretty big box to lose. So I sent in a request, sent in a help request first, and then it was kind of annoying or kind of odd because the next day they said, case request closed, never received at office. I was like, what? So I went and checked. It got scanned in at San Jose, which is where I live. It got scanned in over in New York, and it definitely went out for delivery. There was no way it did not make it to It was not in the vicinity or in at the post office where it needed to be. It was definitely scanned in because it was out for delivery. And so then I was like, nah. So I opened the help request thing again. Went higher up. I didn't hear back the next day. So I was like, you know what? Usually it takes about 3 business days, but usually they get back in about 24 hours. So I immediately opened up missing mail. So there's different tiers, right? It's kind of weird. You can do a help request, and you can do a missing mail request, and then you officially file like for a completely lost one. You know, get your money back. Hopefully, that's where we're at right now. But so then after that, I did the missing mail, and I got a message back the next business day saying your package cannot be located. Please send an insurance claim. I'm like, all right, cool. So I sent the insurance claim. Well, apparently the insurance claim, they said it could get rejected because it's less than 15 days. And I was like, but they're telling me to, like, I have an official email from a customer service rep at USPS telling me to put in a claim for it. That's what I did. I put in a claim. It was actually not as bad as I thought. You needed a couple of evidence proof pictures of what it sold for and how much you paid for the shipping. So if you have Ground Advantage, they automatically insure. You know, I forget what it's up to. I think it's $150. I think, not 100% sure. You have to double check. But there is insurance automatically with Ground Advantage stuff. That was one of the advantages with Ground Advantage. That's one of the advantages with Ground Advantage. So is that it is there is some insurance on it. Whereas before, I think first class there was no insurance unless you purchased it separately. Priority, it was automatically like $50 insurance automatically. So. I submitted all that information. Hopefully, we got our money back. I had to refund the person, obviously, so we're out about grand total out about $8 the cost of the product plus what the box. It was a more expensive box because of the size and plus packaging material that goes into it. I estimate about $3 ish or so. So that's where we are. That's where we are at on that one. Would have preferred it to be a lower price, like a $10 item that got lost, or a $20 item. But $100, oh well. Refund them. We move on with our lives. Then, oh, look at this. This is pretty cool. I didn't know. So, if you guys are out there looking for items, you look for Danbury Mint, Bradford Exchange. They do some pretty cool collectibles. They partner with a lot of major brands. And there's some Danbury Mint stuff that goes for a crazy amount. There's even a, I forget if it's by Danbury or Bradford Exchange. There's a Star Trek, there's like it's like a, I forget what it's called exactly, but it's like a 4D chess game, basically. It has different tiers, and it has, I think it has pewter pieces for it. It goes for like $300 to $400, if I remember correctly. Last time I looked it up. Definitely on the hunt for that. So if you see anything Danbury Mint or Bradford Exchange, definitely give it another look. Some of it is pretty common and it doesn't really go for that much. Recently discovered not too long ago that Bradford Exchange makes shoes, which is I'm like, the Bradford Exchange does shoes? That's kind of strange. So I did purchase some Bradford Exchange shoes. Not the best quality, just because, but they are Disney, they are by Disney, so they will sell. However, I was at the Goodwill, and I saw this, the Danbury Mint. I'm like, Danbury Mint? Let's see what it is. Made in China. Or is it made in China stuff? I mean, it's not, everything's pretty much made in China nowadays. However, when I opened it, I was like, that is so cool. And what are they? They are earrings. The Danbury Mint makes earrings. Really cool. I mean, it's not going to be crazy. It's not going to go for like, $100, $200. Maybe at the most around $50. Probably on the low end around $30-ish or so. I might shoot for a bit higher just because, if you don't notice it, these are, going according to the holidays. We have 4th of July, Easter, St. Patrick's, Valentine, obviously Halloween and Christmas. So the Halloween ones are really cool. I mean, Jack-o'-lantern Halloween is coming up. Get your Halloween stuff out there. Okay, that was really cool. I wanted to show you guys that. Back to shipping really quick and making sure you pack your items appropriately, because nobody else cares about your package except you and the buyer. And it's your duty to ensure that your item arrives safely to the buyer. If it does not, if it's broken in transit, anything happens to it, torn, ripped up. Unless it's international shipping, eBay will take care of it for you. You really don't have to do anything if it's international. But if it's anything within the anything within the United States, then you're on the hook for that, and you are the one that will be paying for that. And just take. Did I flash any information on there? I don't know if I did or not. I'll have to rewatch this. But take a look at that. Big old dent. Luckily, there's just a pair of shoes in here. Kind of funny. This is a return. This person bought. Kind of annoying that they bought 3 of the exact same brand, size, dance shoes. Just different variations of the styles. 2 of them had pointed tips, and 1 of them had a square tip. And he said, or he or she said, well, I'm assuming it's a he because they are men's shoes, dance shoes. That 1 pair, which was one of the pointy pair of shoes, fit perfectly fine, no problems. The other pair don't fit at all. So I'm like, I'm getting 1 pair of the pointy, 1 pair of the pointy shoes should be in here. I haven't opened it yet. 1 pair of the pointy ones should be in here, and then 1 pair of the square toe one should be in there as well too. They should be. So one thing that is interesting to note, I'm going to refund them back for both shoes. However, they bought this, they bought 3 in one big lot, and they returned each one individually, and so 1 pair is sitting there on the buyer's end saying they have not initiated or they haven't dropped it off yet at the post office. So I could, I'm not saying I'm going to do this. I'm going to refund this person back their original cost on this. But if they don't ship it back and the time elapsed for them to allow, I think it's not quite a month. It's a little bit less than a month. I think it's kind of about 3 weeks or so, if I remember correctly. I just get the information. I occasionally get the notification, when somebody doesn't complete the return. You'll get a notification saying your funds are on hold because the buyer opened up a claim, and nothing really to worry about if they have not shipped it back. And so if they didn't ship it back within the time frame, case closed. If there's any feedback, it's taken off. You keep the money, all that. You can close that out. Unique situation. I bet the buyer was probably like, why am I going to put the shoes in 2 different boxes and send them back to you? I'll just send them back in the same box I got them in. So no big deal. We'll refund them, but there is one sitting out there that is saying buyer has not sent it back. So just so you guys are aware, if they do not send it back, you do not need to worry about refunding them once the time elapses. So once the time elapses, it's done. And if they left you negative feedback, if somehow it gets past, I've never seen it get past the system, but if somehow there is negative feedback there associated with that, let eBay know, and they will take it down for you because they have the opportunity to send it back, and they did not. So that's it with shipping. That's all I want to talk about. And let's go ahead and get over to the what sold. Okay, on to the what sold. Hopefully they're cool. Hopefully they're unique items. Hopefully they're items that you guys have been previously unaware of, that you can resell these. And hopefully I'm helping you to be able to identify items that are profitable, but that no one's really talking about, or you look them up, there's not really any sell-through rate on these, or they're just bizarre enough to sell. So let's get into it really quick. Well, not really quick. We'll take as long as we need. My video. So there we go. Not quite time for a nightcap yet, but been a long week, like I said. All right. I spoke about this in my previous video. Here we go. Motorola pager. Look out for pagers. Make sure they're in decent shape, first of all. I wouldn't pick it up if it's in too damaged condition. This one does happen to work with a battery. Whether or not you can activate it, I don't know. And but there are collectors for this stuff. I haven't mentioned it in a while, and I haven't found any that I really think are worth collecting. But I do collect vintage cell phones from the late 90s, early 2000s. Car phones, car cell phones. I do collect those. I have a collection of them, and I'm pretty sure there's a collector for everything. So I'm pretty sure this is probably will end up in somebody's collection, or someone may use it as a prop. But really cool vintage Motorola pager. You want to put pager, you want to put beeper in the title, because that way it can be found by both. But really cool, red, clear. Just a really nice, clean. So whoever had this really took care of it. There were no dents or dings. I mean, there was some on the rubber. The rubber does deteriorate over time. You can use alcohol to remove the some of the layers of the upper rubber parts, and then it should be okay after that. But really cool item. Next item. Now, I do sell baseball cards. You've heard me talk about when I first got started in eBay. It was baseball cards, sports memorabilia. Those were the items I was buying and selling. And so I don't typically do that nowadays. Mostly because the prices are just way too high, and everyone thinks, because during the pandemic these prices all took off to places where people were willing to pay it at that time. But now people aren't willing to pay those, but yet people that are selling them still want top dollar for them. And these are not top dollar cards. The cards I pick up aren't really top dollar. The cards I see aren't really top dollar at all. As a matter of fact, today at the flea market, someone was trying to sell me a binder full of Jose Canseco, a couple of rookie cards, but mostly stuff from the 90s for $40. And he was telling me some of those cards in there were $10, $20. And Jose Canseco, maybe a PSA Gemman 10 rookie card would be worth that. But I wasn't going to pay it. I was thinking more like $5 to $10, maybe $10 the most. There were quite a few cards. I might be able to make my money back in that way. But, yeah. Baseball card, early 90 baseball cards, junk wax era, year 2000, aren't going to necessarily be worth it. Depending on the price, based on the prices that I'm seeing. If you can get them really cheap, they can be worth it. And these ones here, I got a bunch of these cards really, really cheap. And there were a bunch of players from the 90s and early 2000s, players that I grew up watching. And this is David Justice for the Atlanta Braves. And this pack, it was 30 cards in there. Some of them were rookie cards. Some of them were not. They were a year or two later. But they still sold for $17.95. And I got these really cheap. I also have a bunch of Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards. Nothing graded or anything like that. All raw condition. Not necessarily in the best shape, but decent enough to sell in big lots. So that's what I did. I grouped up a bunch of the different players. If I remember correctly, David Justice, I think Ken Griffey, and I think there was some Tony Gwynn in there as well too. And I just grouped them all together and put them in lots on eBay. So $17.95 is what this sold for. Pretty cool. Now there's going to be the next item, and there will be two Lord of the Rings items in this sold video. This is an action figure. It's from The Hobbit. It's the Goblin King. As soon as I saw him, I immediately identified who it was. And $36 is what it sold for. It's relatively heavy. It's close to... I packaged it up. It was almost 2 pounds. So it's a very heavy action figure. Be on the lookout for these ones. Generally, the bad guys go for more than the good guys. Just be aware of that. So if you do find any out there, like Sauron or... the orcs, all that, they tend to go for more. And this one did. This one for $36 loose, mind you, with no accessories, because he had a hat, he had a weapon, not a hat, a crown, a weapon, and loose, $36. If I had everything else, obviously it would go for more. But look out for Lord of the Rings. It's really hot. Today's the 29th, and today is the beginning of Rings of Power, the series on Amazon. I'm definitely going to be watching that. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, in case you hadn't noticed. So, I talk about this periodically in each video, and I definitely look at the different sections, because the next item is a portfolio or organizer pad, notepad holder, leather, vintage, Barrington. $49.32. This is just a notepad holder or a file holder. Really cool. This is definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. I talked about other brands to be on the lookout for as well, like the two high ends that I've come across, Patricia Nash, Filofax. They go for a surprisingly crazy amount of money. It's pretty wild what people will pay for organizers or notepad holders, document holders. And this is no exception. This was right up there. The Barrington, Really cool. Definitely be on the lookout for it. $49.32. I also sold a Franklin Covey one as well. So that was pretty cool. The Franklin Coveys don't go for as much as the other ones, but they still do sell pretty well, and you can get them at a low enough price point to make it worth it. Okay, big bolo item here to be on the lookout for. That's the next item. A Nurian Korean dictionary. Now, you don't typically see me showing you these big bolos because they're not... It's not... When you're watching people on YouTube, when you're watching people, pull all these items out of garage sales and Goodwills, you're not seeing the work that went into finding those items. And what I mean by that is how many garage sales you went to, how many Goodwills you've been to, how many times you've been to the flea market until you found that you paid $1 and it's $300, $400. It does not happen often, and I don't want to create that same sort of, that thing that we're constantly I don't want to put anybody in that mentality that, we're finding $100, $200 items, $300 items, $400 items all the time, because it doesn't happen. The reality is all these $15, $20, $30, $40 items are all adding up. $50, I think that's a great sale. Something sells for over $40, that's a great sale. Something sells for over $30, to me, in my opinion, it's a great sale. But all these other smaller ones actually what add up and what keep the business going. That's what keeps everything going. These big bolo items, they're not out there all the time. They're not as common as you might have been led to believe if you watch people here on YouTube and what they're picking up, because they're only showing you the big bolo items, which is why I don't really like to show you the big bolo item because I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression about reselling and seeing like, hey, I only spent $5 and I made $200. It's not like that all the time. It's pretty actually unrealistic, in my opinion, to be constantly looking for those. I see people that just look for the big hits. They go into Goodwill, they're going through flea market, and they're only looking for the big bangers or the big bolos, whatever you want to call it. And most of the time, they walk out empty-handed. It's kind of like home run hitters, Home run hitters notoriously have a higher strikeout rate than other players, because they're always trying to get the big hit. They're looking for that right pitch to knock it out of the park every single time. And sometimes they swing and a miss. So, but I wanted to show you this guy because it's pretty unique. Be on the lookout for these electronic dictionaries. I've talked about electronic dictionaries, thesauruses, organizers, electronic ones. And this one was a pretty good score. It did take a little while to sell. It took about 4 months to sell. But this goes from Korean to English. And if you look at the comps will definitely tell you, you should be picking this up. It's going to go for over, $150, $200. This one had the stylus. Some of them that did not have the stylus went for less. And some of them sold for parts, But if you look at it, you'll be like, oh man, this is gonna be a home run. I gotta pick this up, but it's gonna sit for a while. Just be aware of that. Be aware of when people are telling you to pick items up. They'll be like, oh man, this is gonna go for $100, $200. Make sure. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they will sell fast. This one will not sell fast. I was watching a video the other day of someone who picked up a purse, and they're like, oh man, these purses go for $100 something, and it did sell for them at $120. I think it was $125 what it sold for. But if you look at the actual history, if you look at the sell-through rate, okay? I'm talking about sell-through rate here, and I'm not a big sell-through rate person. But if you look at sell-through rate, if you look at what's listed compared to what is currently sold, the data doesn't really support the price that they got for it. In my opinion, upon looking upon it, the purse itself is about a $40 to $50 purse. So, based just on what I've sold, based on my selling history over, what year are we in? 25 years now? 25 years selling on eBay. So based on all that, everything I've seen, everything I've done, my experience, the purse that they pulled out of a Goodwill goes for about $40 to $50. And the reason why they got so much is because of the celebrity factor, because someone who is a watcher of the video purchased that. So something you do have to be aware of when you are, comping stuff out. You're looking at on eBay. If you're starting out early in your eBay career, and I do recommend looking at sell-through rate when you're starting out early, you should be able to grow beyond that as you progress. But be aware and look at to see who is actually selling that item. Who's the person that is putting this item up? How did they get this price point? Because that one price point was an outlier, and there are plenty of outliers out there. So you got to do your homework. You got to do your research. It'll make you better in the long run. So, yeah, I know we went off topic there, but let's circle back using a nice corporate meeting term there. Next item is look out for Lord of the Rings. Again, you heard me talk about it. Lord of the Rings. This is actually a sword holder. So this is a sword holder. I picked up at Savers. It was kind of weird because it was at the glass counter, which is typically for higher end items. It was only priced at $2.99, plus with a 20% off discount, so a little bit less than that. And once I saw it, and I saw it was Lord of the Rings, I knew I wanted to pick it up, and I did a little more research, and this is the wall mount for a sword. If you have the sword with it, we're talking $300 to $400. But obviously that's going to be somewhat larger of an item, and I was like, you know what, I don't see any plaques listed, and I bet, and because I go to a lot of comic shows when they come to town and all that, I try to catch those. I was at one recently, and there are people that make custom swords, and I'm pretty sure somebody would appreciate this item, and maybe look for a custom sword, or maybe they lost their own, their own plaque or whatever, or maybe somehow they're going to integrate it, because it is Lord of the Rings, and it is Lord of the Rings season right now. All right. Okay, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about everything I brought up in this video. Let me know what you guys think of the items that sold. And like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, bell notification, and we'll catch you in the next one.